Good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. Central Time, and we're doing a live broadcast. We haven't done a live Fridays in a while, so I'm going to clear off my screen here so that I can respond to chats. And we can get going. Excuse me while I get my screen adjusted. This doesn't like the fact that I'm using Windows, the MacBook Pro feature where you have two workstations on your screen. I'm trying to keep a Word document open, but it isn't particularly well working out with what I have planned. So let me scroll over here. I'm trying to get this even up in a way that doesn't look too bad. So Rosie May asked the first question before we get on to our agenda for today. You can start with some questions. I have a couple people here. A few more to come. Hi, James. So to answer your question, Rosie May, you probably, if you are getting enough calories, you're probably getting enough protein. Unless you have symptoms that suggest that you are not, you're getting too cold, you don't feel right, you don't have enough energy. If you're getting normal protein for your height and body weight, you're probably okay. If you're a vegan, you'll have to work at it, or vegetarian, you'll have to work at it a little more, but you're probably really not deficient in protein. Nobody really is. But I'll tell you this, I've recently gone to higher protein to build muscle, and I feel better. And just by having you can go on Amazon and get them, and they're a 35-gram protein shake and only 160 calories with 2 grams of sugar. You will not have any problem with whatever else you're eating, making sure you get a little extra. 70, you said 70 grams in one meal. I would think that's good depending on your height and weight. I wouldn't worry too much about that. I really would not. Excuse me while I get my screen right here. I'm just not quite able to manage, apparently. We'll get it going. All right. Here we go. Sorry for that. But I would not worry about protein. If you feel like you're deficient, if you really are hardly getting any, and like I said, your diet doesn't include normal protein, animal protein sources, which are more bioavailable than plant sources, I would not worry unless that's the case. And your body kind of sends you signals when you're like that. And you might go through periods where you up your protein. If you're getting cold, for those of you who are getting cold, if you eat more protein and you max out on protein, kind of like you're a bodybuilder, you can eat less food and still stay warm and stay under your calories. Your weight loss, I think, will generally slow down the more protein you get. That has been my experience, but that's generally not a problem for anyone. So Swaggy says, hi, I'm 20 years old. I was on OMAD for 3 months, didn't count macros while eating, lost 7 kilograms. Now I started keto OMAD. Is it good for my age? Here's the thing. Unless you have major insulin sensitivity issues and you've had a lot of bad experiences with carbs, I know some people do. They say they do, and I have no reason not to take their word for it. Then you really don't need to worry. I'm not a huge fan of keto. I don't lose good when I get a bunch of fat. I know some people say they do. They say they have more energy. I cannot say that that's good. I don't recommend any sort of restriction, because when you get into restricting food groups and types, then you end up becoming intolerant and unable to handle. So that's why I have consistently said that's not a good thing. Gerald says, hi Joe, I'm from Australia, but I'm currently in LA. You've helped me so much for hearing my vids. It must be great feeling to be helping so many people around the world. It is. That's why I do it. I don't care about anything else. This is all. Now that I've taken time, for those of you who've noticed I'm spending more time with my channel, I quit my hotel. So I have time in the day when I'm not consulting with my with Hardin Smith. I have time to make for you guys, and I really love doing it. I love working with people individually as a recruiter and as a kind of a life coach of sorts. I really do have a whole lot of fun with it, and I hope that this is helpful because that's ultimately what it's about. None of the rest of this means anything. That's exactly why I started doing the videos. If you go back on MyFitnessPal, before I was even on YouTube, it was March 31st of 2014. I posted my testimony on MyFitnessPal, and you can see that's kind of where I was flooded with a whole bunch of requests and good responses. So that's kind of why I did it. I almost didn't do it at all. Then I decided to do it, and then I was glad I did because I've gotten a lot of good feedback for it. Been following you for years. Kobe Gibson says, long time. Just a note to thank you for your great videos. Appreciate you. I went on OMAD because I want to eat what I want. Bobby Thomas says, why not? Why not do that? If blood sausage is your thing, if tofu is your thing, if anything you want is your thing, pork rinds, you can make a meal out of nearly anything. And your body will, if you listen to your body, it will tell you exactly what you should do and exactly how you should do it. Love OMAD says, I'm listening from Grenada in the Caribbean. I have lost over 80 pounds listening and applying what you said. Thanks. Thanks, Love OMAD. I love your username. So, Rosie, yes, if you can go on Amazon and get them. They're actually really low sugar. They are 30 to 35 grams of protein. You can get them in a 12-pack for not that much money. If you are worried about adding protein, there's also a green and black bottle, and it is BCAAs. You take 2 at the meal if you don't even want to do that, and it just gives you branched chain amino acids, which will help. I know some people do this who are eating OMAD who are older, and they're worried about they're worried about becoming either too skinny or losing bone density. Take some BCAAs. You're not going to offset your weight loss. You're going to be just fine. And of course, the advantage is if you are more active and you up your protein, you will definitely find that you still build muscle and or eliminate muscle breakdown. Because if some people are fasting too long, one of the misunderstandings is that you don't lose any muscle. You will lose a little bit of muscle if you have a long way to go in fasting. If you're 400 pounds and you go all the way down to 200 pounds, you're going to lose about 15% muscle. So if you can offset that by getting extra protein, it's an option. Now I sometimes take BCAAs, and I did for a while. I took a can of that. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's here. Let me look it up on Amazon. It is called Pure Protein. It's $28 for a 12-pack, 35 grams of protein each. And if you want to, just jump on over to Amazon. Anybody can buy it. Why not do that if it helps for you? And of course, you don't need to do that if you don't want to, but if you do want to, you can. Panos says, I'm 47 years old, did OMAD last year with spectacular results, stopped for a few months, and now I am back. But I find that my body doesn't respond as first time. What gives? Well, if indeed you're doing exactly what you did and you're finding it doesn't respond, this sometimes happens if people do OMAD and then they drop off. They say, I don't, they go through a period where they start rebound eating. And when you rebound eat, your body is trying to protect that from happening again. Because keep in mind, your body thinks you're going to die. On a metabolic level, it thinks you're going to die. So it's trying to prevent that from happening, even though you're not going to die. The only way you can convince your body of that is by going a little more strict, going lower calorie, bring back the ACV, be on the strict one plate rule, and gradually increase your food intake. And you will gradually get back to losing. No splurging, especially for those of you in your 40s and 50s. You're gonna find you can't splurge more than once every 6 weeks. Your metabolism will slow down when you're 45, 40, I guess it happens at about 44, 45. You slow down, and if you jump off and you go back on, your body's going to resist you for a while. You can also do a juice fast. If your body's really resistant and not responding, you can definitely do a juice fast. That is definitely one option. But you're not lying. You're not deceived. You're really, that's true. Your body's not going to respond like it did. If you're 35 versus 45, just 10 years difference will make a lot of difference. Your body will gradually taper off, and based on what you've done, you are going to get different results than you used to get. But you can reclaim success, and if you need extra help, then reach out and we'll consult a little. Hey Joe, I had a payday candy bar on my OMAD today. Way to go, Randy. Payday's awesome. I remember those were briefly, and I think around probably 93 to 95, somewhere in there. I used to binge on those so much, but you know what? Now I'll still, when I stop by the gas station and I decide I'm gonna eat a hot dog or something, I still grab a Payday and a Twix, and I'll pop those on my plate, and that'll be my meal for that day. Payday is awesome. I love Paydays. Who else loves? Put your favorite candy bar. Let me say this on candy bars. I still get people that email me and they say things like, well, you shouldn't talk about candy bars, or you should recommend people don't do any candy bars. The problem you're having if you do that, you're letting your food own you. If you're one of these people who has to get rid of everything in the house to stay faithful, then you're really not mastering your food. You should be able to take a handful of maybe 2 or 3 or 5 chips or one candy bar and eat them and master them. Then you've mastered them. If you can't have a bag in the house because you're going to splurge, then you're really not mastering your food. So you need to for those of you who don't have the discipline like Randy does, to have a candy bar at the meal once in a while. Not saying you have to do that, but you should be able to. That's a good sign when you can make peace, because then you don't have any bad foods. When you start having bad foods and you vilify foods, that creates dieter's prison, where you feel like you can never have that again, which creates a very uncomfortable disposition. Then you feel bad and you feel restricted, and that's what leads to eventual collapse. It would just be a nightmare to think, oh, I can never have that again. What do you do? Fernando says, what do you do when you're on OMAD but have sugar and carb cravings later in the day? People say to get on keto also. Your thoughts? No, just stay the course. Don't make any bones about it. Don't make any drama about it. Just say, I can't have that because it's not my time to eat. Take whatever it is you're craving, whether it's a soda or cake or chips, a small amount, and say, I'm going to have this at my meal tomorrow. If you can do that, then you're fine. Alternatively, you can do what I sometimes did and do. Look how faded. Y'all have seen this cups in my videos for years. The lettering is all faded now. I still use the same cup. You can make an afternoon coffee and add 5 Splendas. I have coffee, French roast coffee, no calories, maybe about 1 or 2 calories per cup, with Splendas. And just sip on it. If you have to have some artificial sweeteners, go ahead. I still once in a while do them, even though I can have black coffee with nothing in it as a substitute because of the caffeine. Gives me a little bit of stimulation. But once in a while, I want I want something, a fake sweet taste, and you know what? It does a trick. Once you train your mind to do to accept that in place of like a sugar soda or Kool-Aid or something with calories and with carbs or high fructose corn syrup, you get used to it. But then again, if you find that by lowering your carbs at your meal, Fernando, that you don't get cravings as much or as often, I for one don't think that really happens. My cravings get worse when I try to eliminate something. If it's you, then don't do it. I mean, it's up to you. You certainly don't have to have anything that is. You can get rid of what you want, but to me, that's a harder way to go. Most people it's not always that way with people. They don't always respond to the keto approach, and I'm one of them. So that's why I haven't been a fan of it. I'm not mad at people that do it, and I don't hate it. I don't say that it doesn't work for anyone, but it is not my my cup of tea. Forgive the pun there. How long does it take for OMAD to become second nature? This depends on the individual, Rocio. I know that most people, around 3.5 weeks to a month, they get to that point where they're like facing the cliff, in a poetic and saying, I can do this forever. They're at that moment of Zen where they say, I know I can do this forever. For some people, it's a little closer to 6 weeks. But don't think, remember, mission critical is the 2-week mark. If you can't make 2 weeks, you probably won't stay with it. But if you can make 2 weeks, it's easier. And then it's manageable it's more manageable to where you can keep going predictably. The first 4 days are hell days, generally. 5 to 7 days, still pretty bad, but better. And then you hit 2 weeks, that's mission critical. If you can succeed for 2 weeks, it's fine. Then it becomes second nature when you hit 3.5 weeks to 4.5 weeks. And then after that, guess what? You can stay with it. But when I had done this a month, I knew my life was golden. And to this day, I no longer splurge, really ever, almost never. I eat one meal strictly. I eat more than I used to, but I don't. And of course, I work out hard, but I don't. I stay with one meal. I will always stay with one meal. How long does it take to become second nature? Hello, everyone. Stacy Blackwell says, hello, Stacy. What do you think of urine therapy? Another urine therapy question. I think it's awful. I would never try it. I would never do it. And I don't buy into the pseudoscientific claims, which, by the way, have been refuted on the idea that it somehow gives you stem cell regeneration. I think it's complete pseudoscience. It's no different than grounding. The idea that if you go outside for an hour a day and you stand with your bare feet on wet soil, that you're going to ground to the earth and you're going to eliminate all of your autoimmune disorders and you're going to reset your body. ScienceBasedMedicine.com has a great article on that, on why that's complete bunk. And it goes into the details on stuff like that. Okay, so urine is the only drink that has goodness in it that won't take you out of a fasted state. No, that's simply not true, because a lot of, coffee won't take you out of a fasted state. Artificial sweeteners won't take you out of a fasted state. Even Thomas DeLauer did a good video on artificial sweeteners that they won't. Lots of stuff won't. Hot water, of course, regular water. You don't have to. You can do any non-calorie beverages and be in a good. Now, you say has goodness. You mean? I guess you mean. That has nourishing properties. Well, that's mineral water, even lemon water to some extent, and coffee has some nourishment. Tea has nourishment. So I don't think if you find the urine therapy thing good, then go right ahead. Me, I am not going to jump on the bandwagon, and I think it's complete pseudoscience. Plus, I think whoever's made that up is trolling us all, because they're thinking I got the whole world thinking all of this stuff is really awesome and special, and they're just sitting there laughing. There was an article, actually there's a video, and I think it was Arizona PD, or one of the, someplace in Arizona, where some kids said that they spread to a news station that all the kids are getting high smoking butt hash, and they said it's a bunch of kids that poop in bottles and put a balloon on it to collect the gas, and it ferments, and they sniff the gas. Well, they actually ran that on TV, and it was a complete embarrassment, because it was just a group of trolls that decided to hit the world with, and it worked. And they're sitting there just laughing, going, "These idiots." And no, I'm not trying to insult you, David, but you have to be careful of. Everybody's looking for a holy grail. And I'm not saying that you're the victim of trolling. A lot of people have tried urine therapy, and it is a pretty old practice, but it's based on bad science. It's no different than saying that the proteins from a jellyfish fight Alzheimer's. You still see commercials on them. It's just not true. Having to eat certain, proteins and shark cartilage and all of this stuff, it's not going to do what people say. My video yesterday on the fact that we see evidence based on the same way a person in the desert sees a stream when they're dying of thirst, because that's exactly what they want to see. And I don't believe you are able to. I don't think you can. I think you have to be the most scrutinous and skeptical as possible with all claims. You draw only those conclusions that are warranted by the evidence, and of course that you have found to be true personally, which is the ultimate standard of proof. If you find that something works, do it. If you find urine therapy to work, then do it. If you want to go through with that, and you find that your knees are crappy or your bones are bad, and then you do that and you feel better, well, who am I to tell you not to do it? I won't be doing it. But again, I think we've belabored the topic a little bit. This is the second live broadcast where that has come up. Thanks again. Yes, I've just turned 60, so want to protect against sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is what you see, for those of you who may not know, where you have these old people, they get the hunchback and then their muscles go away. So you see an old World War II vet in public, and they have a little gut that's pokey, and they have no chest, and their shoulders barrel around, and there's that hump. It's because they're losing calcium and they're losing muscle. Hey, I have faced that, and I have counseled with older, 65 and older people, and we did do a higher protein diet. In fact, I'll do a video on it. Salmon, I can recommend great salmon with just a cup of rice, a protein, actually several cans. So you're getting, like, with fresh salmon from like Costco, Kirkland brand, you're getting like 40 grams of protein per one can. If you do two, and two BCAAs and a protein drink, you're getting like 120 grams of protein. If you have only that, you don't even have to include the rice if you don't want to. I do, because it tastes good, and y'all know I love rice. If you do that, you're going to find that you won't have to worry about muscle loss, because you're actually taking measures against it. But it's good that you're thinking about that. You have to. Yeah, someone who's 20 doesn't have to care, or even 30. But once you hit 45 and up, you kind of have to start thinking about. That's why I've started working out as hard as I have. I've got a strength training regimen, which I'll eventually divulge, and I feel good. I feel 5-10 years younger almost. Resistance training is really good. Cadbury chocolate, Nature Craft says, oh God, Cadbury chocolate is some good stuff. Bobby Thomas says, I drink black coffee with a little sweetener during my fast. I don't buy the whole no sweetener rule during the fast. I've lost weight even with sweetener in my coffee. Yes, I did. I 173 pounds. I absolutely did. So it can be done. And I've known scores of other people who have. Thank you, Randy Trucker, for your donation. I very much appreciate it. Randy lost 116 pounds, and he attributes that to some of that to my help. Hey, I didn't do it. You did it. All I can do is, offer some guidance and information, but you did it, man. Thank you so much, Randy. Definitely, you have done what so many people only talk about. And this channel continues to enjoy a growing community of people who succeed, as opposed to those who just hunt around YouTube tirelessly all day, looking for hope and help, and not being willing to make any real changes. You have distinguished yourself. Whatchamacallit, Randy says, Whatchamacallit and Payday are my two favorites. Ditto there. That's elite. Whatchamacallit's probably in my top 5 or 6. Fifth Avenue, Twix, Fifth Avenue, Payday, of course, Reese's. God, those Reese's cups. I mean, just super, super good. Reese's are so addictive that you really have to have them. Remember, if you are having any candy with your plate, make sure you don't start eating before you sit down. Have it portioned out so that you don't grab and then judge. You have to play that game where you're judging how much you have, so that you're going to end up eating too much. It's the same thing with eating chips out of a bag. You don't do that on OMAD, because you're going to end up eating half the bag and you're not going to realize it. How many of you have done that? Everybody has done that at some point. And if you find that you've overeaten, keep going. I mean, just stop, and you won't, because you're still eating one meal, you're still going to have time to get back into fat adaptation. You're not going to blow it. Gwen Martinez says Reese's Cups 80% of the time on my one meal. Hey, I'm never getting rid of Fifth Avenue. I'm never getting rid of Reese's or Payday or those peanut butter Snickers, which, by the way, are super, super good. Thanks, but I will give try to keto OMAD, and it is, Swaggy says it is good to work out in fasted state and eating just 15 to 20 minutes after the workout, or you can eat an hour before your workout and your muscles are craving. So if you're one of these people who are getting tired after the meal, then if you work out, you make your cells hungry for food, then you won't get sleepy. So you can work out before, or you can work out about 15 to 20 minutes after. I have done both ways, and I have had good workouts. I think probably a little bit better is just before the meal for me. Okay, I got one here. So, let me go back, and I think I missed a couple. Naturecraft says, I consume diet soda in my fasting window. I get crap about it. Listen, for those of you who take abuse from people who are non-initiated to the OMAD revolution, expect it. You're always going to have that. You're going to have people that are told that you still have people that believe in eating 5 little meals a day. I know it's been debunked even by mainstream science, but you're still going to have people do it. You're still going to have people who go way out of their way to spread the wives' tales of misinformation that is out there. Don't worry about it. Stevia, matter of fact, I just made a pitcher of tea downstairs with stevia. And sometimes I do straight nothing in it. Sometimes I do stevia sweetened. Stevia is a great choice. You can get it in a big bag at any supermarket, and it's better than sugar, which of course is liquid and jacks your blood sugar. So, which of course is anathema to fasting. You can't do it. I love orange vanilla Coke Zero. I do too. It's good. That's every once in a while. I'm not a huge orange vanilla person, but when I get tired of the same taste, I'll go to one of those to break the mold. Brian and Marilyn Hines said, "Hi Joe, did you have a lot of loose skin after you lost all of your weight?" Yes, I still have a little bit, and it's kind of pouchy around the midsection. That I'm older and have a little bit of my skin isn't as elastic as it once was is of course an issue too. But I say that it's not really an issue, but it's something I notice. If I could wave a magic wand and make myself, a stunning picture of Captain America, I probably would, but I'm okay with me. There's really nothing wrong. Really nothing wrong with having. And for those of you, I sometimes get this question extended to about the arms. They worry about if they have hanging skin on their arms or something. Listen, everybody collects fat differently. Everybody has a different elasticity of their skin. I've seen guys who are 20 who lost 600 pounds and have a lot of loose skin, or just 200 pounds and had a lot of loose skin. And I've seen people who were 45 and 50 and didn't have loose skin and lost about 350. So, 100 and something. I really think it is I don't think it's in how you fast or there's anything like that. I really don't. I think it's just a genetic quality. Somehow, some of these ladies collect fat in their arms, on their forearms, and on their upper arms, and some on the normal areas. And I don't think that's something we can choose. I don't think it's that. The question is it better to be fat with not fat with some loose skin, or have tight skin with being fat? And I think the former is better. So, Rocio says, "Is it hard to fit the amount of food you need in your stomach to maintain when you get to your goal weight? Any tips for that?" Not really. You do have to stretch your stomach out. When you've been eating, you will have to work in stretching your stomach back out. But if you use fats like nuts, like almonds, and honey roasted cashews are a great way to get a lot of calories in. You can have a small bowl of honey roasted cashews. I just spoon it in with some blueberries and then some flesh food if I'm going to do it that day, with my normal assortment of fruits and veggies, and maybe even some meat if I'm eating meat that day. I eat a lot of fish now, salmon, and even tuna. And I'm not a tuna person, but I have learned to I take those Lay's potato chips and I just kind of have it right out of the can. I don't use the one with soy. I use the one just with just wild caught tuna, and have a protein day, have a good workout. I vary, but you do have to stretch your stomach out a little. But if you're using, if you have a normal amount of carbs to protein and fats, you're not going to have too much trouble. But I'll do a video on that sometime on what I do to hit my calories. Because sometimes you guys see me not being consistent. You see me have really like just a couple slices of pizza versus another day where I'll have just a bowl of rice versus I'm doing that for your benefit. I get more food than that. But I'll show you, I'll do a couple, maybe a video here pretty quick where I show how I get that. And a lot of it is nuts, where you can get a lot of fat and therefore calories and not be in a deficit. And of course, I'll take longer to eat as well. And if I go out to eat, of course, my foods are more calorie dense. So if I get a couple of poor boys, barbecue sandwiches or something, that's going to have more calories than, an order of fries, and that's got a lot of calories. So you can hit 800 and 900 calories with one order of fries. So it's really not very hard. Let's go. Intuitive eating is the true freedom from food. Can't disagree with that. I know I haven't really studied intuitive eating there's a lady who does a lot of teaching on that, and I don't, but I know I had a girlfriend recently that, kind of a girlfriend, she was really into that, and she, any way you can mentally control your food, I'm for it. If you can control your food by doing small portions, that's great. If you can control your food by eating once every other day, that's great. If you can control your food, it doesn't matter. If you're mastering your food, then you have obtained virtue. You've reached on top. That's the big enchilada. Again, pardon the pun. Julie says, I struggled with my weight for decades. With your help, finally found a sustainable way of eating at home. Thank you for your good sense and feel. It seems to be full of crazy and extreme ideas. Well, listen, I appreciate the compliment. It's my gift to see when something is crazy. I'm the guy who's right in the middle, and I'm not bragging, and I'm not humble bragging. I'm saying it's an ability I have because I naturally started out life as being a person of extremes, and I've seen the fruits of it. And what you don't see is these YouTubers, these fitness guys, and ladies and men, and it doesn't matter. They don't know they themselves are victims of insanity. I know a nutritionist right now in San Antonio. I argue with her all the time because she does not like OMAD. She's one of these nutty ones who loves to push her own ideas, but she doesn't think she's doing it. She thinks I'm pushing my ideas. And, her client, she doesn't have as good a track record as I do with whose clients are staying faithful. We compare notes, and she doesn't realize that when green coffee bean extract, remember the green coffee bean extract scam came around? She was all over that. I said, this is bunk. There's nothing here. This is just another vitamin huckster scam. Well, now you don't hear about it. Why? Because people have gotten wise to it. So my gift to you, hopefully, is the balance. That's what I really want to be known for, guys. I don't want to be one of these guys who get you hyped up about something. That's what people are selling. They're doing what's classic sales routine. They're selling the sizzle, not the steak. They're saying, hey, here, let's do this. It's like, again, if you're older and you've seen the original the Rocky movies, hearing Eye of the Tiger, that makes you want to go out and run, but it's temporary. Eventually, you're going to fall back into your old ways, unless you can generate your own motivation, which is kind of what, I guess if I had to pick a theme for today. Well, thank you for that. Cindy Webb, do diet sodas take you out of a fasted state? No, they do not, Cindy. I promise you they do not. I and many others, including not just Randy, but a number of others who email me every day, have lost tons of weight doing it. Do not believe these people. I know some really smart people have said that, and they base that on freaking rat studies. And that's pretty much, that's all they've got. Chewing gum. Now, here's the thing. Shirley Brown asks if chewing gum interferes with OMAD. Yes, it does, because gum can have up to 15 to 20 calories per chew. So if you chew that, you might actually get enough sugar to take you out of a fasted state. So I'm terribly sorry, but that is the case. You can't do even the sugar-free gum. You cannot do that. I have polished off. This is the third cup of coffee today. And that's unusual for me because I don't do more than one usually, but I did two today because I'm just, I had some people cancel some appointments, so I'm kind of bored. And I wanted the caffeine stimulus, plus I have to do a biceps workout in about, I don't know, at some point. And then I have the 4-year-old is in there, and her mother is taking care of her while I do this. So I have a night that is going to be consisting of a few different things. So I'm downing, this is the third cup. Folks, caffeine splurges are the safest addiction you can have. I had also salty food at the meal today, so I'm having water. I'm not really thirsty. I'm digging the buzz here, and you guys asking questions is kind of making me come alive a little bit. So, but I normally have a day where, and I recommend you have a day where you do no artificial sweeteners, where you do no caffeine, just to mix up your routine and to challenge yourself so that things don't get too complacent. So I'm done with the coffee, almost done with the water. All right. Chloe says, hi, Joe. I'm 43 years old, 5'2", have been fat since birth. I have been working to get to OMAD for a month, and about 3/4. I am really at 2 MAD. Started, I think, 248 pounds, now at 245, having issues. Reach out to me if you need some consulting on that. You're already starting to lose at 2 MAD. I attempted 2 MAD. Let me share this with you. For those of you trying 2 meals a day, trying to get to 1, let me give you my results ahead of time. About 2 years, when I started to have trouble with the foot that I had rebuilt, I attempted to lose weight because I was having so much trouble breathing, and I was having trouble managing and even showing up to work. I was really getting sick, and I felt terrible. So I went on 2 MAD for about 3 months. I lost about 18 pounds, and then I plateaued, and I seemed to not go anywhere. What you will probably notice, because 2 MAD is a little bit harder because it involves a second meal. It's easier, but harder. Harder in that it slows down your weight loss results compared to OMAD, but it's also a good baby steps away for some people to get to the goal. It's like getting into a swimming pool, dipping your toe or jumping in. It's easier to jump in my experience. But you will probably notice that you lose very slowly, but you will keep losing, and then you'll get to a point in your body, you'll have to lower your calories even more, at which point you'll need to go to OMAD. That's my experience. You might have a different experience, but if you can, or if you want to, reach out to me, and we'll set up a time to take a look at your life, your activity. I have several programs for that. omad.info if you'd like to. I'll go from there. Gerald says, I've gone from 245 to 217 in 5.5 weeks. My calorie intake is supposed to be 2,400, but most of my OMAD meals are about 700 to 1,000. Am I losing weight too fast or not having enough calories? I don't think so, because the final chapter is not written. It hasn't been that long. If you stay at super low calories for longer than about 8 to 10 weeks, you would have a little more cause for alarm. But here's the thing: your body will start to give you signals that you are running into trouble. You will start to sleep a lot more. You will start to withdraw from things that you love. You will kind of get the beginnings of very mild depression. And I hate to use the word depression because everybody thinks they know what they mean by it. When I mean depression, I mean the first stage of depression is not loving the activities that you normally love. So if you normally love to play tennis, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't like to do that anymore. And then if you're extremely cold, and I don't mean you just kind of have I mean you feel like something is wrong, then you need to worry about that. Remember, I started the first month on OMAD at a 500 to 700 calories, too low. You start working on gradually increasing your calories to the point that is workable. But you're losing a lot of weight. I say let that process be organic for you. And by organic, I mean natural. Don't feel like you have to add another 1,000 calories. Just gradually start to increase your calories. And what you will probably happen is you'll notice your weight loss becomes the same, if not better. My greatest losses came at 1,600 calories because the body has a way of relaxing. But you're just starting out. So let's say you go another month like this, you don't have anything to worry about. But here's the thing, go back to my lessons on keeping low stress. As long as your journey is as low stress and predictable as possible, your eating time is the same, your day-to-day activities, your sleep schedule is the same, that's a good sign. Your body will continue to learn what you're doing and continue to make progress without ill effects. You're doing great work. Thank you. What do you think about the snake diet? This snake diet has gotten a lot of more routine, has gotten a lot of rhythm lately. I think he does some oil and salt water and like snake juices. I need to educate myself. You know what? I'll do a video on it so that I can speak a little bit more intelligently on it. I have done salt water like as a beverage before. I didn't notice any magic. I haven't found any magic button, folks. I have not found any magic button. That's what I keep learning. Life keeps telling me that. But I'll do a video on that so that I can speak. I've watched a few of his videos, and he's super hard to listen to, in my opinion. But, I'm sure that for some people that works. Whatever approach he has makes it easier. Me, I've not found it. It's like people saying drink coconut oil. I never found that helped. Plus, you're drinking oil, which is just crazy, in my opinion. Can I eat my only meal at 9 p.m.? Well, yes, of course. You can eat anytime you want. Of course, you have to be awake to do it. So regardless, it's your running calorie total. It has nothing to do with when you eat. So you can eat. I don't like to eat before bed because I get weird dreams and I don't sleep as well. It's also a lot easier for a lot of people, and I've had a lot of good comments lately about people who switch their OMAD meal to the mornings, that it's easier because you're less hungry at the meal. You can maintain it. I'm working with my dad right now to eat earlier in the day because he's starting to become very, very overweight and having trouble with his blood sugar. So now I've got him on an OMAD plan, the start of one. And he is making progress. But it's if you're consistent with your time, that's the main thing. Pick a time that's best for you with your schedule, with your self. Some people love to eat public meals. Some people love to eat private meals. I don't like to eat public. I mean, it can be fun, but I like to be concentrated on my meal. When I'm done, I'm back in productivity zone, which is the good place to be. Had great success with OMAD, Jim R says, while living away at school, but now that I'm back home, the junk food and temptations are everywhere. Yes, my advice is you need to set a meal time. And let me tell you, my parents, I love them, but they make so much junk. They make for all the, when I bring Kayla over here and Elena's over here and their cousins are over here. There's so much chocolate. There's so many pans of brownies, and you have to remember your family is the worst. My advice is when it is not your time, you don't eat. That's the same thing when you're out with your business companions, when you're out with your schoolmates, when you're out with your family. You pick a time and you stay with it. I know that's easy to do when you're occupied. It's harder to do when you're off, but you have to find a way to do it. My family will tell you, if they jumped on camera right now, They're downstairs. They would say, Joe, forget trying to convince Joe to eat when it's not his time. You have to have the same level of conviction, because otherwise you're going to get talked into quitting. And you're going to keep cheating, and you're going to keep cheating, and pretty soon you're going to look on the scale. Before you know it, you will have gained back 10 to 12 pounds. Okay? So that's my advice, is have the time and remember the time, and don't stray from it. Just Me says, so lucky to find you as my inspiration. Thank you. Since I dropped fat, AA says, since I dropped fasting and eat a high carb, frequent meal diet, my metabolism doubled. Hormonal issues on long-term ketosis and fasting. On long-term, yes. I have come across some studies recently on when you go on OMAD, and I'll do a video on this because it's going to be too extensive for here. Your metabolism begins to slow down. Then it picks back up, and it actually increases. However, if you are eating in a way and for long enough that is not conducive to your nutritional needs, then it will cause hormonal imbalance. Some ladies run into this with OMAD on ketosis, getting into full ketosis and losing their period. On the other hand, so do vegans, ladies that lose their period, or ladies who are not doing anything, they lose their period on OMAD because they're not getting enough nutrients. In which case, guess what? You have to hack your diet. You have to find out what you can do differently. And I'll do a separate video on the lady problems, because I'll tell you what we have done with ladies who did temporarily lose periods when they started fasting, and then their body picks back up again. And it goes back to stress levels. Your body will adjust, but you have to meet it halfway. Women and men do respond differently to stress. So that is a hugely important thing. Snake juice diet. Okay, I'll do a video on that. And like I said, a second person asked about that. I lose 7 kilograms in 30 days. Is that too little because I have insulin resistance and I don't know what to think? I'm so depressed. Well, here's the thing. If you're insulin resistant and depressed, that they're probably connected. It may even be related to a thyroid condition. Just me. I don't know. Let me see. Keep in mind, we're in the U.S. 7 kilograms to pounds. I have to look because I forget what the translation is. So that's 15 pounds, and you did that in 30 days? No, that's a good loss. Reach out to me because I'll need to know your history anymore. Nancy Fry, however, just me. I think it is a great loss in 30 days. Yes, I would agree. That's a very good loss. It depends on your starting weight. If you're 400 pounds and you're going to lose like 40 pounds the first month. I had a girl from the Netherlands. She had some, questionable hormone performance according to her blood lab. She still lost 41 pounds the first month. I didn't lose 41 pounds, and I'm a guy. So it depends on what you're starting at, your weight. If you're 80 pounds overweight, you're not going to lose that much. You'll lose somewhere around there. That's a good loss. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that at all. Now, if you've been in the strict OMAD and you've only lost like 1/3 of a pound a month, yeah, that's a problem. There's something amiss. But that's next to never happens. Honestly, I can pick how many people? I'm trying to think of all the people who never responded to OMAD. I can think of 6, and that's going back 5 years, working with several thousand people. And 2 of them I questioned because they really weren't honest with me on some things. So that leaves 4. But if I give everybody benefit of the doubt and I believe them at their word, that's all of 6 people. Everybody else has shown great progress or good progress. So the idea that don't get discouraged and don't get depressed, that's what I'll leave you with today, because you don't have anything to worry about. I don't think. I hope I will lose. Thanks because my health problems. I'm really in big mess. Insulin resistance. Doctor give me metformin. Ooh, okay. Does it give you just me? Does it give you the runs? My ex-wife took metformin to help with insulin resistance and diabetes. It made her life a wreck. And she believed in it. I didn't. Some women really love it. Some women do not. I don't have a period 2 years and I'm 31. Are you PCOS? And it's not because of your weight. It's because of the weight is a symptom of you have too much testosterone, if it's what I'm thinking. But I don't know. Reach out to me and I can give you some recommendations. What do you do? Dustin says, what do you do when you hit a plateau? You keep going. That's easy to answer. You keep going. Remember, my longest plateau, I've said it 100 times now, 3.5 weeks. I was 3.5 weeks stuck at 324 pounds. I came from 363 all the way down and I got stuck, and it drove me nuts because I got up every morning and I went into the bathroom scale just downstairs a few feet. I have the same scale. And I stood on that scale, 324.6 pounds. The next morning, 324.6 pounds. And then one day, 324.3 pounds or 3.2 pounds. And then finally, I got up and it was 320 pounds. I finally got past it. You have to keep going or you won't succeed. Plateau is because AA says plateaus could be due to the long-term stress response to fasting. That could be. Some ladies do 2 things. One, they villainize fasting because they think it's always evil, and then you have those who deny it. It is possible that there could be stress due to fasting. I don't know in Justini's case, but it could be. There are some ladies that don't take to fasting well. I won't be dishonest about that. I won't say that you're going to have the easiest time with it because a few people don't. But again, that's rare. Yvette says, I'm too mad because it's hard to wait longer than noon. Well, hey, if you're in control, like I said, I encourage you to continue. Especially if you're in a manageable weight range or getting there. I really want to know if it's okay to break my fast at 9 p.m. It's totally your call. I did answer that. You can break your fast whenever. It will not, as long as you're consistent, it will not affect your losses. Eric Sun asks about OMAD for teenagers. I actually did a video on that. Yes, OMAD will work really good for teenagers, but here's the thing. They don't need it. With most all teenagers and kids, if you just take out the sugar and you put them on 2 meals a day, no snacking, they'll do fine. In fact, they'll lose at a ridiculously fast rate because their hormonal responses are really good. If you don't believe me, give your daughter or son a Dr. Pepper or Coke or something with 40 grams of sugar. Odds are they don't finish it. I just got mad at Michaela because she keeps opening these Dr. Pepper cans and leaving them around the house. And I say, Kayla, why aren't you drinking it? Wait till you finish one. Do you know why she doesn't drink it? Because she only needs to sip, and her insulin sensitivity is so strong that her body says, no, we're full. We're full. But what does an adult do? An adult drinks the whole can. Why? Because our insulin sensitivity is less than when we were children. Of course, Michaela's 11. So if you have a 15, 16, 17-year-old son or daughter, they'll do just fine if you cut out the sugar. And they'll start, if you make them eat regularly, you say, eat green beans and lima beans, put them on a mostly plant-based diet, and then their insulin will kick up even lower, and their insulin sensitivity even higher. You will not have a problem, but you have to be able to regulate what they're eating. And what are they eating at school? Okay? So you say 1 meal's at school, you give them lunch money, they go eat, and then when they come home, they get 1 more meal. It's a controlled, small portion plate. Guess what? They'll lose weight. Even a chunk. Some kids have slower metabolisms than others, but they'll kickstart really fast. I worked with 2 diabetic Hispanic girls here in San Antonio, and their mother contacted me about because she was worried that they were going to have trouble like their dad. We went on 2 meals, cut out the sugar. Guess what? They're way, way down in weight. They don't have any diabetic symptoms anymore. We didn't even have to do anything. If you do a full OMAD with a teenager, you don't want to impede their growth. So you need to make sure they're getting the protein, they're getting all their micro and macronutrients. That's why I don't recommend full OMAD for teenagers, because you don't want there to be any too much of a deficit at that age. You want to make sure they're over 20 or older, I think. But again, it depends. If they have a real weight problem, then yeah. I mean, if they're not able to sit in the chair at school like they're a really big kid, yeah, you might say, look, you get to eat once, maybe have a little protein shake in the evening. I think that would be good enough. Vicky says, my job prevents me from eating at the same time every day. Mealtime is necessarily erratic. What to do? You need to make yourself a longer eating window and work on fitting it in. So you need to say, here's what I have to do. What I would probably do is make a game out of it. Get you some better food, something that you can get on the go. Have yourself a series of restaurants. If you're a nurse or something and you have to just, that day you might have to do it. I would. That is hard. I'm not gonna pretend I have all the answers. That is really difficult to do. I've done shift work. When I was losing weight, I did shift work. I was having to manage at nights and manage sometimes in the days. And I had a guy get sick on me. One time I was a doofus and forgot to schedule somebody. Another time, so I had to work 24 hours, nearly 24 hours, 18 and a half hours. I felt like I had the flu. I went home and I didn't even eat for 36 hours because I was so messed up. It made me feel terrible. That happened a few times. Here's what I would do. And this is what I learned to do when this happened it threatened to happen about 4 other times. There was a little burger stand across the way from my hotel. I would go over there, and I knew the guy at the cafe because I met him before, and I would order a burger in a certain way. So if that happened, I would just step across the street. I would get another manager from another department to cover me and say, I'm going to take 15 minutes. And I would call over there and say, hey, can you have my burger ready? Guess what? He would do anything I asked. And guess what? I would go eat the hamburger only, and I would get back to work. And it took me like 12 minutes. Do that when you're in a crutch. The next day, bring your lunch and try to develop a system with somebody. That's the best I can do. Short of that, you would have to develop an every other day eating, and I don't recommend those because they're just too hard to do. Tariq asks, I'm a type 2 diabetic. Can OMAD cure me? That depends. Are you a true diabetic, or do you have diabetic symptoms? I would need to know your age. I would need to know how you developed your condition. What is your blood sugar in the morning when you're fasting? That's usually how you tell if it's a genetic diabetes rather than just something that's brought on. The odds are that you will see great improvements. Most people who fast do see drastic improvements. I have a number of people that do. Reach out to me on that. Please tell me how I can speak with you. Go to omad.info, and to the right there is a Consult with Joe tab. Just click on it, and there's a thing that says OMAD Coaching, and you can schedule an appointment. It's super easy. You can also reach me at joe@hsge.us. There we go. In case you just want a quickie, I'll respond. It's really easy. If you want to set an appointment, please use the omad.info, because that's how it makes it easier for me to schedule. But we can definitely set that up. I have a lot of availability now because like I said, I got rid of a bunch of dead weight businesses that I should have done a long time ago and haven't done. So I'm feeling good. I'm taking me time. You guys see me out doing the walking. I'm walking 6 to 8 miles a day, running. I've upped my weight training. I feel good. Let me tell you, it's a lesson in your life. Get rid of dead weight, and I don't just mean the weight that's on your body. I don't mean the weight that is on your thighs and hips and whatnot. I mean the weight that is in the form of family members who are dragging you down, in the form of people who are not helping you, businesses that are not making you money, that junk in your shed that you've been keeping there for years, that storage shed that you're running with crap in it that you could just as well sell and be much happier. Okay, I feel great. I feel so happy, and I've got new ventures coming on the horizon. I'm still in San Antonio, and I love San Antonio, and I love Houston. I have a bunch of cousins in Houston. We're probably going to take a vacation next week and go see them. Turn a corner on that if you're struggling with something. Where was I? Okay. AA said hypothyroid is common from long-term keto IF. Initial feel-good is stress response. There's some wisdom here. Long-term cell CO2 level drops. Breath becomes shallow. Muscle lactate level goes up. Body temperature and pulse goes down. This is true. It depends on the individual, and again, stress response. What sometimes people find is that, to an extent, this is normal. When you go into a prolonged state of fasting, if it is too extreme, the stress response becomes too much. But if it's not too extreme, your body adjusts and simply develops a cycle of removing your excess weight, and then you come back down to your weight range. But of course, you shouldn't be at a deficit forever. And AA is right to make this point. However, it is not the cause of hypothyroid, but it can simulate hypothyroid to where you have symptoms of an overreaction. This is why, take the feeling of being on Percocet or hydrocodone or Vicodin, something like that. What does it do? It feels really good. You feel great. Being on morphine, you feel great. And being working with the Private Security Bureau, I've dealt with junkies for years. I've dealt with criminals for years. They develop it becomes a hell because it's happy followed by sad. Well, it's the same thing with fasting. If you are too extreme, guess what? Your body will adjust and throw you into super happy land. But too much of a good thing is a bad thing. So if you don't have a normal flow, if you don't have a normal rhythm, then eventually your body will burn off its reserves. Your macro and micronutrients will be out of balance. Your potassium levels will be out of balance because your other nutrient levels will eventually exhaust themselves. You'll be B12 deficient, which will probably be the case. You will be D3 deficient as well. The way to solve that, go and get a lot of sun exposure, number one. This is a whole video. Number two, start exercising, increase your caloric your caloric intake, and start relying on your body to perform ideally. Add back in healthy fats, but don't overdo it. Increase your protein. Let your body go into a building phase. You can resume a normal deficit again. In fact, this is why a lot of doctors recommend people who fast do so in stages. So if they have if they're 1,200 pounds, guess what? They have to lose gradually, because if they go 4 years at a serious deficit, what's going to happen? They're going to be malnourished. They could die because their body's in a poor state of health. So your body will respond normally, but you don't want to exacerbate too much. And we could get into examples of the Holocaust refeeding syndrome with Holocaust victims who went years at prolonged deficits and ended up doing serious, because they didn't have nutrition. They didn't have the ability to live an optimal life. Therefore, they self-destructed, and it was, of course, not their fault, but it was a horrible thing. And then AA adds to that, low energy, loss of curiosity are common from stress buildup. These information are suppressed and only talked by the most people, like Ray Pete. Ray Pete does mention that. Chris Master. I'm not familiar with some of those people, but I should do a video on fasting too long. But if you do it smart, you can keep fasting. You just don't want to be at a deficit, is what we're saying. Um, if you are too much at a deficit, especially if you're not balanced and it's too long, and or you're the wrong person for it because you don't have the balance, you went into it with a deficiency of some kind, then yes, you will not have as good a response. And that's why, people, they lose their breath, becomes shallow, and that's a big sign. Air hunger, you should not have that. So I'll get with you, Justin, but thank you, AA, for your input. I appreciate your perspective on that. Big P says, I'm 5'7" and 326 pounds, been doing OMAD since Sunday. How much should you recommend I work out? Don't, my friend, not yet. What you should be doing are the therapeutic walks, which means every day you need to spend 30 minutes in the sun doing a walk. It should be as fast as you can do it without stressing your body. You should be able to hold down a conversation normally, walk around, enjoy yourself, get yourself like an iPod or something, or, download some YouTube videos, download some of these videos, and kind of get yourself knowledgeable. You want to create a daily pattern, not only of the fast, which is what you're doing now, but of a healthy habit. Because remember, it's going to go back to habits. Your what you need to do is establish that maybe it's 5 a.m. for you, maybe it's 10:30 a.m. I don't know your schedule, but pick a time, ideally between 10:30 and 5 p.m. when the sun is out. Get yourself as much vitamin D as you can, because believe it or not, that helps with weight loss. It also helps with mood optimization and dealing with the stress of being hungry. In terms of working out, you want to add that in when you're about 50 pounds south. If you're 5'7" and 326, you're pretty big. You don't want to injure yourself. You also, because of the weight you're already carrying, you're stressing your body as it is. So just walking will keep your blood circulation and your heart response up, while your body is forced to burn the calories that you're burning. In fact, you might, if you want to, go back and watch some of my initial videos of recommendations. But if you'd like some extra guidance, reach out to me. And I've got a lot of people now who are heavier than you. I've got a couple that are 400 and 500 plus who are doing great, but they have to run. I can't stress that enough. Because you are bigger, your body is stressing to just do normal functions, even if you don't think of it that way. What you want to do is develop like riding a bicycle or walking, nothing more than those. Do that every single day if you can. Don't miss more than maybe one day. 30 minutes every 2 weeks, up it by 30 minutes. So until you get to 2 hours. So, and that way you're burning plenty of calories. Again, as slow as you can go, but as fast as you can consistently go. That's about the limit of exercise right now. In about 50 pounds southward, you can do some light strength training maybe once a week. But remember, cortisol response is exacerbated by working out. So what do you do when you work out? When you stress your body, you hold on to water. So you end up, your limbs will be puffier. That's why these guys that go to the gym and they think they are losing weight, all they're doing is, if they're not getting rid of water with a lot of cardio, they are they're making, they're taking stuff like creatine and they're making themselves puffy so they look thick and they look doughy. You don't want that. You want your body to be at low stress so it can eat the fat, because then it will say, oh, okay, it's okay to use this storage here. But it's going to hold on in a crisis mode if you are freaking out. So I would really recommend you go very slow and you just commit right now to the daily fast and the walk. Those are the big items. Get plenty of water, and work on your meal. You will turn around and you'll really enjoy it. But it will be tough. You've got some tough times. You've been at it since Sunday. Let's see, it's Friday. So you've done a few days. It looks like you have some struggles ahead, but you'll make it if you want to. Nancy Fry says, I am pre-diabetic and I'm OMAD 8 days now. Blood sugar 126 at 8 a.m. to 98 just now at 4 p.m. Okay, so you're one of those who have dawn phenomenon. your fasting blood sugar is a little bit higher, which means has it always been that way, or is it um, you're like, it seems as though that's kind of naturally what your body's factored out some of your beta cells, or it didn't have them. Odds are you've always been like that, but or you've developed it as you've aged. Um, I don't know all your details, but usually when it's fasting in the AM is when it's more of a genetic thing. Because simulated diabetes from eating too much, becoming insulin resistant, easily reverses itself when you do that. But keep track of your progress. What you will probably find is that each morning it will be a little bit lower for a while. It'll drop 10 to 15 points. If you can keep your blood sugar under 135, you're okay. So and also do a postprandial, 30 minutes after the meal, and then at 2 hours after the meal. Track your numbers for about 2 weeks, and I think you'll see a downward trend. Tariq says, I'm 37. I've been treated for diabetes for 4 years now. Metformin. Blood sugar. Yeah, you need to reach out to me, man. Your blood sugar is 13.5. I'm not sure which units. Those are millimolars or okay, reach out to me. Um I would need to know more to help you at this point. Another thing on the snake diet. I'm going to do a separate video on the snake diet, so I'll hold off on answering that now. Yes, Dawn Phenomenon just started checking. Okay, so Nancy, we'll talk hopefully at some point soon. OMAD is hard on maintaining weight. Not really. It's actually really easy. Anytime you go a couple days and you're eating OMAD strictly, and then you splurge and you say, "Well, I gained my weight back," and then you took it off, that's as natural as anything. Most people, in fact, who aren't losing weight on OMAD are maintaining. They're just maintaining. They're not ever going to gain weight. They're just going to stay where they are because they're not being faithful. Well, that's how easy to maintain is. If you haven't been at a weight long enough, then you will gain back. So let's say you get down to 115 pounds briefly, but you haven't stayed there for 4 months or longer, then yeah, when you splurge, your body will tend to start creeping back up again because that's not really your weight. Your weight is wherever you can maintain 3 to 4 months. That's what you're going to find. But it's really easy if you give yourself the time. The problem is we're humans, and time seems so long when we're in any sort of change or struggle. It's hard to relax, and that's why I've stressed that so much. You really have to relax and let time go by. Um, yes, 135. If you can keep your blood sugar not higher than that, you'll be okay. And if your blood sugar does go over that, like after a meal, it should come right back down. So if, for instance, I'll give you mine. Uh, when I eat a meal, my blood sugar averages when I wake up in the about 72, 74. When I eat a meal, it might go as high as 110, 105. But that's with somebody like me. I have an unusually low. I have excellent, like a bear near, like a real bear, not just a human bear. My last A1C was 4.9, so or 4.7. It was really low. That's not a problem I have. Even though the contradiction there is I have type 1 diabetic antibodies. We have it in our family, but I'm not diabetic. So, but when I eat, the highest I have ever been able to jack my blood sugar came after pizza. I combined fruit. I combined ice cream. I combined Chinese food with steak. I ate so much one day that it was crazy. I actually ate so much that I thought I was going to die. And I went to check my blood sugar. It got to 131. That's as high as I could get it, even after crazy. And then within like 35 minutes, it was back down to 95, and then 85 in the next hour. So you need to judge your response based on how quickly it comes back down. Um, as you age, your blood sugar will start to fast higher, and then as you eat, it will go to the normal or just higher, and then it will go down slowly. So that's a sign of aging, which is to some degree normal, but it should never hit 200. And if it hits 170, 180, and then comes down over a couple hours, yeah. So you're 69. So you're really not. You're really. It doesn't sound that bad to me. My mother, give you an example. After she'll eat a meal, hers will stay around 160, 175, and then another couple hours later, it'll come back down to 112. It'll stay in that area, and she'll wake up in the morning, and her A1C, I think, is 5.7 or 5.8. So she's higher, but she's not critically high. If you can stay under about 6.5, then A1C, you're all right. You're not going to lose limbs or anything. If it's really high, if you start seeing 220, 250, 300, yeah, you got something to worry about, because your blood is literally becoming sludge, and that's going to cause trouble. But you're not. It doesn't look like you're dead. All right, let's do till another 15 minutes, and we will 10 or 15 minutes, and we will bring it to a close. AA said, check out New Strength. Lean, normal women have a metabolism of 3,000 daily and even losing weight. Danny Roddy, a normal set. This reads like an advertisement. A normal sedentary male eats 5,000 calories. Skinny. I think a person can up their metabolism by being at low stress and by keeping their activity levels high. And what I probably haven't done on my channel is put enough emphasis on long-term, what you should do after you've hit your goal, and you're getting close to your goal, and how you've increased your activities. I've just said that I did that. But I have done that in the sense that I have addressed, you shouldn't be thinking about weight loss forever. You can't be on a perpetual diet. If you are walking, if you are hiking, if you are swimming, if you believe in going on nature walks around your house, that is very good. If you will add in some light calisthenics, either with some weights or with something, you will keep your youth. And for those of you who are 69, 79, let me tell you, there are people following this channel who are my parents' age and in their 70s and doing very well. So don't think that it can't be done. And they don't, I've met OMADers who are, one guy is where I used to work. He used to call me his other son. He's 76, and he's in great shape. And he stays super active. In fact, there's a lot of 20-year-olds who would really struggle to keep up with him. So it can be done. If you set a goal, the same way you've done with OMAD, and you got rid of your fat, you got rid of your gut, you got rid of your thunder thighs by spending 8 months at a deficit, then you start saying, okay, I need to increase my calories because I'm going to start doing more activity. That's what births new energy. If you get up in the morning and you say, I have to chase these kids down at Six Flags, guess what? Your body's going to meet you halfway. Maybe not immediately. It may take you a month. In fact, I have worked with a lady who has a chronic fatigue condition. Her idea of energy is going from the bedroom to the bathroom. Because about 15 years ago, she inherited a genetic condition. Well, we've worked enough to where we've increased her activity. She has good days and bad days. She's able to walk around her block now. Only one time. But that's to her is progress. If you demand, your body will do what you demand of it. Your body will do what you demand of it. If you settle in and you say, you know what, my life is over, I can't handle it, I'm going to die, I just am born this way, what you're doing is you're playing a victim. That's why it's destructive. Well, because you settle for it, and therefore it becomes a reality. And that's not new agey talk. That's legit. Your body, you're as young as you think you are. That's the truth. Log says, I just wanted to say thank you. You're most welcome, Log. I know you're not fond of ADF, but I naturally fell into it by eating when I'm hungry. Alternate day fasting is great if it works for you. It's easy for me, and the thought of food or eating doesn't come into my head until 36 to 40 hours. That's great. No, remember, I've told stories about. I have a guy who's a painter. I know a guy who's really good. He eats every other day. It's tough, but I've done it. It's really satisfying. And you know what? You're not gonna get you're never gonna become diabetic. You'll have better blood sugar levels than people who eat every day and moderate. Uh, Let me tell you, folks, if it's possible to turn yourself into a bear. I don't recommend it, but if a person wants to eat once every 3 days, or eat one meal every day, and then each day have a larger meal, your body will find your routine, and you'll adjust. Um, in a situation like that with alternate day fasting, if it's done sensibly, then it can be done well. Some people who they find that they can't find that balance that you have found. Golden Breeze. Hello, Julie. How are you doing? So that's the struggle there. Finding balance. That's the perpetual struggle, and that's why every video is kind of, in a way, every video I do is about just maintaining balance, because that's the struggle. It's so easy to get into a fad. It's so easy to get into hype and lose sight of things. But it's hard to find a pattern. But once you found the pattern, guess what? It's found you. So it doesn't want to let you go very quickly. Nice suit. Thank you. I do prefer it when I can run around in jeans and I don't have to wear my monkey suit that I do for business. So. You're most welcome, Nancy. Let me tell you this. I don't know Russian. I did study Russian about 6 years ago for an exchange program that I was going to help with, and I didn't end up going. I don't even remember. I know the alphabet. I can recognize the characters, but it's just I'm losing it. I did learn the Russian alphabet, and I learned some conversational Russian. I've forgotten just about all of it. I learned a few sentences, and I got ready to go, and then we had some change of plans, and 3 months later the trip was canceled. So I learned about 3 months of Russian and forgot it, and that was 6 years ago. So здравствуйте. And I think, let me see what I can recall a few phrases, and I learned a little German, but not enough to really use it. So you could. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to converse with you, and I don't have my keyboard set up where I can type in the characters. I know there's a way to do it. Tariq, go to omad.info and go to the right, and you're going to see Consult with Joe. And there's an appointment scheduler to the right, and you will be able to set up a time and we can talk. And honestly, I'd love to talk with you. I could get a little bit more information, ask a few more questions, which we can't do on a live chat, obviously. Oh, so any other questions as we wrap up here? Thank you for playing along. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up in another minute or so. Go cook your meal, Nancy. Enjoy it. Thank you for subscribing, sir. Thank you, AA. Thanks, everybody. We will do it. We'll try to do this on Fridays when we can. No problem, Golden Breeze. Thank you. Y'all have a great day. And happy fasting.